box in her hand.
One.
Are not necessary.
One. One.
All year long, we connect community-minded businesses and people to agencies serving the toughest needs. Now we have a Community Response and Recovery Fund to assist agencies in helping families in crisis due to this pandemic. 100% of your donations will stay local. You can donate at unitedwayuov.org/give.
I'm not buying till I checked on for.
Most of us are faced with uncertainty every day. Your job, your finances, sporting events, schooling for your children, and so much more. With so much uncertainty surrounding you, there is one auto dealership that you can be certain about, and that's Doane Ford. You can be certain that you always get a great deal and the best service afterwards. Being in business for over 50 years has given Doane Ford the reputation of being a strong, reliable dealership. Be certain. Choose Doane Ford. Online at DoaneFord.com.
I'm not buying till I check Doane Ford.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster with a look at your local weather forecast for your Wednesday. Under mostly sunny skies, temperatures rise to near 79 degrees. You'll watch as the overnight low fall to 57 degrees under partly cloudy skies. Times of cloud and sunshine for your Thursday with temperatures in the low 80s. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
Good morning, how are you? Good morning, how are you?
Wow, I am wide awake.
Who's up for guacamole?
It's National Guacamole Day.
Oh, is that today?
Hello, guac.
Holy guacamole.
Ah, guacamole! Oh, guacamole! Oh, this is so slimy. Slimy? Inside a slime.
Happy National Guacamole Day.
It's showtime.
Live from the Robinson Auto Group studios in the heart of the Ohio Valley, this is the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe.
Welcome to a Wednesday. Here's what we are talking about today. Coming up in just a moment, our weekly candidate conversations with labor-supported candidates, sponsored by the Upper Ohio Valley Building Trades and Construction Council. We'll feature incumbent Ohio County Commissioner Tim McCormick today. More map manipulation in West Virginia as Governor Justice adds gold to the panoply of colors that we have to look at on the new map, and as a different way of adjusting for that color as well. We'll talk about that. One person not pleased with the latest changes, and indeed the other changes, is the head of the WVEA, the teachers union. Dale Lee is going to join us to talk about that. Wheeling Council members offered some thoughts on dealing with the city's homelessness yesterday, and a peaceful rally was held in support of the homeless as city officials prepare to dismantle homeless camps along Wheeling Creek a little bit later on this week. And the legislative watchdogs are in today at 9 o'clock. They'll be talking about all matters political, statewide as well as national. Weather-wise, going to be another nice day today. Still very foggy outside, but the fog will burn off. We'll have a mostly sunny day after that, according to Zach. Daytime high will be close to 80. If we don't hit 80, it'll be very close to it. Today and tomorrow, pretty much the same, maybe a little bit of rain tomorrow. Temperatures drop down into the 60s over the weekend, overnights into the 40s over the weekend. Currently, though, we are looking at 50 degrees at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport, 50 degrees at the Robinson Auto Group Studios in downtown Wheeling in the heart of the Ohio Valley, and 50 degrees and foggy here at my home studios in the Elm Grove section of Wheeling. Brother Biff, I've been talking the last couple of days, really since last week, about a big real estate auction coming up today, right?
Yeah.
Big house going to be auctioned off today, right?
Yeah.
No.
No?
Apparently somebody already bought her.
Yesterday or?
Apparently so. I guess we must have sold the house so well on the show that some people made a pre-auction bid, and it has been accepted. So if you were planning to attend the auction of the home, the estate of Beverly Spidell today, this evening in Wheeling, sorry, Charlie, house has been already bid upon, and the auction for the real estate has been canceled. Of course, it was being put on by our friends Jim Frio and Shane Stack. So good news is the house has been sold. Bad news is not to you if you were thinking about it. It looked like a pretty nice house, too. Would have been a good opportunity for someone, which I guess is why somebody jumped in and took advantage of it. But I wanted to make sure that since we've talked about this several days in a row, this big real estate auction of the house coming up today, I want to let you know that it has been canceled. The auction has been canceled because somebody already did bought her. which is a pretty nice thing for Jim and Shane. You can always check out the latest Frio auctions by going to their website, frioauctions.com. Well, every Wednesday, we take a look at some of the candidates running for office here in the Upper Ohio Valley. This segment is sponsored by the Upper Ohio Valley Building Construction Trades, and Benji Swanson is with us from the Ironworkers. I call them my minders. He's in here to make sure that I stay on track. And we'll talk to County Commissioner Tim McCormick in a second. Benji, good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you today?
Good. Haven't talked to you for a while. Nice to have you with us today.
Thank you.
So, what do you guys look for when you look for a candidate? When labor wants to back a candidate, what are the kinds of things that you folks look for? Building construction trades, ironworkers in particular, unions in general. What are the things that you are looking at or looking for?
I guess my favorite saying is we back those who back us or support us. So when a candidate supports us by getting into a relationship with us, whether it be through construction, through political, what have you, we will support them if they support our needs and interests.
And obviously, Ohio County Commissioner, the incumbent Democrat, Tim McCormick, who is with us. And let me welcome Tim to the show. Good morning again, Tim. Hello there.
Good morning again to you, Howard. How are you, sir?
Great. Appreciate you being with us on this foggy morning.
Good morning, Ben.
So, Benji.
Good morning, Tim.
Yeah, exactly. Benji, you have some familiarity with the work the commissioner has done because you're on the Development Authority, right?
That is correct. Just newly appointed and sat in my first meeting last week.
How was that? Tell me about that, by the way. That's a pretty big deal.
That is a big deal. I was honored to be asked to serve on the Ohio County Development Authority Committee. They've got a lot going on up there, and it's interesting to hear what all they're planning to do and what they've already done, so to speak. So, heck of a development up there.
Tim, you and I talked a bit last week or 2 weeks ago, I forget when we talked, a week or two ago, about the Highlands. The county has a great deal more than just the Highlands to offer, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But you do have a couple of new businesses already announced that are coming to the Highlands. Everybody cares about retail anymore, retail, food, those kinds of things. You have a couple of new announcements you made recently, as well as the sports complex getting open. Kind of an exciting time up there, right?
Yeah, it is, Howard. It's ever evolving, if you will. Chipotle just opened up last week. We have there's a small area between Chipotle and Aspen Dental, about 33,000 square feet. And we've got two small businesses that are going to go in there. Jersey Mike Subs, it's going to be about 1,400 square feet. And then we have Sports Clips coming in at 1,100 square feet. And people are going to say, why are we doing that? Well, it's two new tenants. It's filling an empty space, and it looks good for a development to have all their spaces filled. The indication that we've gotten recently is that Menards is going to open October the 16th. So they feel they have enough, they wanted to be able to have enough inventory and stock so that they could open without running out of supplies. So that's very encouraging.
I think Menards is going to be a huge success up there. Had one of my listeners text me a couple of weeks ago, it might have been when you were on, I can't remember, and said, well, Menards, they'll open up, they're going to close pretty quickly. Look, they put a huge investment into the store, number one. They're a lot smarter about it than I am, and even I think that it's going to be a really big asset up there to the Highlands.
I agree, Howard. I mean, it's like I spoke with you before. I've never personally been in a Menards, but speaking to people that have been, it's like walking into a wonderland. They have, you name it, they've got it. And it's very easy to find the material and the items that you're looking for. And apparently the employees treat their customers very, very well.
You mentioned, and by the way, and Jersey Mike's, it's amazing how much we love our food here in the Upper Ohio Valley. When the announcement of Jersey Mike's came, I had all kinds of people saying, Howard, did you hear Jersey Mike's is coming to the Highlands? We surely do love our food offerings, I'll tell you that. And the Highlands has helped to expand that dramatically.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out who cooks at home anymore, to be quite honest with you. Because anytime you go to any of the restaurants up there, they're all very, very busy.
Yeah, and we're happy about that. Yeah, that's true. I mean, whenever I'm driving by, every restaurant is the parking lots are all full.
I agree, and it's always nice to see those out-of-state plates, too, because that means we're bringing in fresh money into the area. We're not recycling our own money all the time.
We tend to think of a retail place like the Highlands as a sort of a local shopping district, but in point of fact, in particularly because of the restaurants, I guess, and the hotels that are up there, it really is a stop-off point for a lot of travelers, right?
I would think so, yes. With what we're seeing, we just ran numbers for for close to the half-year point, and even with COVID, we really are just a little bit ahead, or we were just a little behind from what we produced last year in sales tax revenue. So even with COVID and everybody being shut down for those 2 or 3 months, it's rebounded very, very well, and we're making a real nice comeback.
You in mentioning the location, you mentioned they'd be close to Aspen Dental, which reminded me, the medical offices at the Highlands don't get perhaps as much attention, certainly as retail and food does, now the sports complex does. In point of fact, it's becoming a little mini medical area as well, with doctors' offices and a couple of new places opening up. Aspen Dental, another one, but it's becoming more of a medical place as well.
Yeah, and we're very proud of that because we're diversifying a great deal. We're not just a retail center anymore. We have the circulatory center, which has been there for quite a while. We have a dermatologist who's been there well before OV unfortunately shut their doors. And then when they closed their doors, we did grab 3 or 4 of the physicians. Dr. Morrow, one I can think of right off the top of my head, is sitting up in the area where right next to the empty space, they took over the High Valley OVGH physical therapies area, and they took it over and are looking to expand to some degree. We've got 2 or 3 physicians from WVU that have family practice service established. So we're getting to a point where we are really opening up the medical side of things, and we're looking over at the sports center to contract out possibly with some folks to deal with sports medicine.
And of course, WVU Medicine was one of the early adopters of the Highlands. Several WVU Medicine places opened up there early on. And of course, now WVU Medicine coming more aggressively into the Upper Ohio Valley as well. I would not be surprised if we don't. And one of the things they're talking about doing, as we talked with the head of WVU Medicine earlier this week on the show, Al Wright, one of the things they're hoping to do is sort of move out many of the physicians' offices out of the Wheeling Hospital and into other locations. I wouldn't be surprised to see them adding more up there at the Highlands. You may even know more about that than I do, but just making a guess, I would guess that that's one place they may be looking at.
That's always a very distinct possibility. I mean, it's a perfect setting for them. They can get people from the tri-state area off the interstate, get them into an area that would be built out new or a new building per se, and their patients would have free parking and very easy access to the offices.
Tim, do the commissioners and the development authority sit down, and I know that Greg Stewart kind of oversees all this, do you sit down and develop a game plan? Do you say, we need more of this, or we want more of that, or I think we should be seeking out this kind of business, or do you simply welcome targets of opportunity when they come?
It's really a combination of both, Howard. Greg does a great job of, brokering, for the lack of a better term, to bring new tenants in. He always has people contacting him looking for space. He runs it by us. We take it to the development authority, and we sit down and say, look, this is a possibility. What do you all think? We get everyone's opinion, and they chime in. A lot of times there'll be the tenants like the two smaller tenants, Jersey Mike's and the sports clips that just came in. That was the thing that came brought forth. We just announced it at the last meeting, and this is one of the things, Benji, will get a chance to take part in here as we keep moving forward. Is it takes a while to get something set up. When you want to bring in a new tenant, it's going to take 6 to 8 months, even after your first contact, easily 6 to 8 months. And we meet enough so that everyone knows what's going on. Everyone's given the opportunity to chime in, and we've had several suggestions from the OCDA members as to what they would like to see. So it's really a combination of a little bit of everything.
Benji is new to the board, but will be getting a real bird's eye view of what's happening. Is the OCDA an active group, or do they just sit there and wait for you, the commissioners and Greg Stewart, to come and say, here's what we're going to do, and they just rubber stamp it?
I don't think we've had a rubber stamp on anything. We have several members who ask questions a lot, and they're very pertinent questions, very good questions that need to be asked, so there's no rubber stamps there. Again, depending upon the tenant, ideas come to us as a commission or to Greg, and then we bring it to the development authority, and of course they all have to agree with that. And Benji's going to get a chance to, again, a very welcome member to that, especially from labor, because we lost Tom Sarah and didn't have a labor person on there. We felt we needed to do that, and that's why Benji's there, and we welcome him with open arms and open ears for ideas. So, it goes back to that combination of things of where ideas come from. Everybody kind of sits around. We don't sit around, but everybody comes in with their ideas, and we move forward with them.
Yeah, and I'll definitely echo Tim's words there. A lot of questions were asked the other night. I kind of sat back and listened, but maybe in my first meeting, but the OCDA asked plenty of questions, and they're very inquisitive, and they want a hands-on with the commission.
What are the things that the OCDA wants to see, Benji or Tim? Every time there's an announcement of a new place coming to the Highlands, then the social media posts go wild, and everybody says, I think we ought to have this, or I think we ought to have that. But you guys have to look at something more than just, what do people think they'd love to have? You've got to be looking at a lot of other factors. What are the things you look at as you consider new tenants for the place?
Well, one of the first things you have to do is look to see how they're going to fit. We've got our own basic tenants up there. We have rules that they all have to follow. Construction, if it's property that the High County Commissioner of the OCDA owns, it will be built union. If the property is being built by the individual tenant, we highly recommend, and I mean highly recommend, that they use the local unions to build the buildings. Again, they have to fit into the motif. They have to fit into the whole thing, and again, this is basically a family-type atmosphere that we want to build and continue to hang on up there. And that's why right now you don't see any gambling. There are no gambling not casinos. There are no places with machines. That was built into the covenants early on when we started. We've turned several tenants away because they wanted to come in, but they also wanted to have the gambling machines too. And we said, look, we're not allowing that at this point because it just doesn't fit.
I didn't realize that. So you don't allow, because of the covenants that you have, you don't allow gaming operations there. Again, we're not talking about a casino. We're not talking about that, but we're talking about businesses that would put machines in. You don't have any. I never thought about that. You don't have any up there, do you?
No, we don't. We wanted the family atmosphere. That's how we started. That's where we are now. Could it change in the future? Yeah, possibly, yes. Everything changes at some point in time. You have to go with what's evolving around you. But we have a nice family situation up there. The businesses are all family-oriented, between the medical, the retail, the hotels, the restaurants. They're all family-oriented. So that's the atmosphere that we want to keep, and we want people who drive by once to remember and say, hey, next time we come back through here, we know where we can go get something to eat, stay, whatever the case may be.
Benji, I want you to feel free to jump in. Sometimes I tend to monopolize things, and I apologize for that. But if you've got something you want to ask Tim or want to focus on, feel free to jump in. Tim, I do want to ask you a little bit more about the subject you and I talked about a couple weeks ago at the very end of our interview, and I maybe wanted to expand on that a bit more, and that is access to the Highlands. As I understood what you told me last week, the county has basically said, if we have to do it on our own, we'll do it on our own. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Financially, yes. Now, we may get a letter of support from the state to go to the federal government, which would help us. When you apply for loans and things, Tiger grants, if you will, different grants that the federal government has, when you apply for those, if you have the approval of the state, that gets you a lot of brownie points, I guess, for the lack of a better term. It's a point system, and that's a great number of points that you would get from them. The federal government, this one, we've applied a couple of times for Tiger grants and did not succeed. So, we're going to keep moving forward with Menards getting ready to open, and the amount of sales tax they're going to generate. That really gives us an opportunity to start moving forward a little bit quicker, because with the calculations that our folks have made, if we sell bonds to build the interchange or start building the interchange, the amount of sales tax generated with everything else and now Menards kicking in, we would have enough money to be able to pay the bond debt, which is huge. So that's the main the gist of the whole thing, and it's a shame that we're a county of 40,000 people, and the federal government doesn't have the money, and the state of West Virginia doesn't have the money to build an interchange to a proven financial boom, not only for this area but for the state as well. That they can't come up with any monies to help us out, but we're going to keep working on it. Greg used to have a sign on his door that said "positive persistence," and that's what we're doing. We're going to continue to move forward, continue to pound away until we figure out a way to get it going, because we have to do it. And we've already made steps to do it. We've got several $1 million invested already, so we're not stopping now.
I'd say so, as I understand it, the difference here would be, rather than waiting for the Department of Highways to put it on their schedule and for funding to come from, highway money somewhere in the state, you guys are going to round up the money one way or the other through grants and bonds and so on, and simply begin that project on your, I won't say without Department of Highway approval, you got to have them involved, but you're basically going to try and jumpstart the whole thing.
It's very likely we'll jump start and continue to finish and end it, and jump end it at the end.
I sense, Tim, I sense frustration in your voice, though. Do you have trouble dealing with the Department of Highways or with the state in general?
I had I'm not going to go into a great deal of detail, but the Northern Panhandle sent all the representatives down to meet with the Secretary of the DOH, and he wasn't there, so they sent their second person in command, and I can tell you, going into a long spiel, everybody got a chance to say things. Well, I got my chance to say mine, and we weren't asking for money. We were asking for a letter of support. The guy got up and said, my next appointment's here, and he left. So that really? Yeah, it was a little frustration, yes.
Okay. I can sense that.
Yes.
Because if there is I don't want to say failure, that's not right, but if there is a negative aspect of the Highlands right now, it is the traffic and the access. I mean, that is the one area that I think most people kind of grumble about is of course, first of all, right now the single access is already cut off because of all the construction work that's going on there and so on. If anything people grumble about with the Highlands, I think it is access. So a second access would be helpful. Tim, I noticed I was up there. My wife and I are looky-loos, so we were driving up around Menards again last week, and I noticed a huge amount of concrete and destruction of some kind going off to the side of Menards. Is that where the highway's going to come?
No, the highway's going to come up back where Silgans is. Where Silgans and East Coast Metals.
Okay.
It'll come up back that way, and then it'll shoot over. In fact, it'll come up very, very close to the new sports complex. And then, of course, it'll branch off over to Cabela Drive, if I'm not mistaken. And those drawings can change at the drop of a hat. And again, talking about the DOH, I want to take a step back. We're not burning any bridges. We're just I'm expressing some personal frustration with them. We don't want to burn bridges because we may need their help again in the future, so we're going to continue to work with them as best we can. But that interchange will come up right where you see all those trees down. Right now, the intent is to come up and come in the back end where Silgans and East Coast Metals and very, very close to the Cabela's Distribution Center. and run right up through there, come up toward the sports complex, and then veer off into the property.
Any sense of a timetable on this?
No, to be quite honest with you. We have designs being done. We have drawings being done. We've got 2 or 3 different sets of drawings, and we have to look at some point as to what the financial situation is going to be. Even if we have to piecemeal it, do one part at a time, we're willing to do that. We just know that we have to get it. We have to get it finalized. We have to get it finished. We have to get it done.
Tim, you probably know that some people think that the job of a county commissioner is a pretty easy gig. You just meet a couple of times. People only see what they see from coverage of a meeting, and kind of assume that you collect a pretty nice paycheck for doing pretty much nothing. That I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that that's what some people think, right?
Oh, that's exactly the way it is. We don't do anything. Okay. I feel like I'm dominating the conversation here, too, because Benji's sitting there wanting to chime in on stuff, and Benji, I don't want to cut you out of there, brother.
I think the interesting thing about this county, you've got so much going on to High County, or up at the Highlands, plus it's almost like a second job you've got going on with the rest of the county. So, and I know a lot of the residents of this county feel like sometimes the rest of the county is left untouched, but tell us a little bit what you're doing everywhere else. I know what you're doing, and
Well, it's funny you said that because I had some numbers put together. For public safety alone, we've put 13 million in the county between all the volunteer fire departments, buying equipment for them, the 911 center, EMS, all that stuff. We've had other projects out in the county also. We've had water lines, paving, sewer, sidewalks of about $15 million in the last. This is about the last 8 or 9 years. So we are doing things out in the county. Do we get them done as quickly as people would like? No, and unfortunately that's the way government works. It is very slow, but you got a lot of red tape that you have to get through. So we are doing things out in the county. Just for starters, the 911 system we took from the city. They gave it. They gave it to us. They gave us the animal control. We built a state-of-the-art animal shelter. We put a levy on, and the taxpayers were very generous in doing so. But then we did something a lot of folks don't do, is once that was paid, we got rid of that tax levy. So it disappeared from the tax rolls. A lot of places will keep those levies on and just continue to collect the money, which we did not do. So we've done a lot out in the county that people don't understand. We've done a lot in downtown that people don't understand. They don't realize because we don't go around banging our drum. But at some point in time, we're going to have to start doing that to let people realize what we have done.
Let me follow up, and then we have to move on here pretty quickly. So, Benji, if you have any more questions, think real quick. But Tim, let me follow up on what Benji was saying. It does almost seem as if you have 2 jobs anymore. One is managing the Highlands, and the other is all of the other stuff that has to be done in the county. I hear from time to time people suggesting that maybe you should outsource the Highlands to some third party, to some developer, or at least bring in an additional manager of some kind to kind of coordinate the Highlands, as opposed to the Greg Stewart having so much on his plate. Have you guys ever thought about that?
Yeah, we've kicked that around several times. In fact, we're looking to sell the area where, I'm having a bald moment. The ice cream shop. That whole area up there, we're looking to sell that section to a private developer, and they're going to take it over. Which means we don't have to worry about it, maintenance, anything along those lines. Fusion bought that whole little strip of that section, which is fine because again, that's one less section that we don't have to worry about. So, piece by piece, parts of it are being sold off to private folks, and that lets them control it, let them run it, and some off of our plate, especially off of Greg's plate, that he doesn't have to worry about as much.
Yeah, I hear a lot of talk about that. Benji, any real quick final thoughts from you that you want to get in with Tim, or about your own thoughts on this before I have to wrap it up here in the next minute or so?
No, the Ohio County is very fair to us, the unions, the crafts, and work up there, and we're supporting Tim, and I just encourage people to get out and vote and support your candidates that help you.
All right, very good. Benji, I appreciate that. Tim, good talking to you again. We'll talk to you maybe again before election time. We'll have to see. But I always feel more informed after I've chatted with you. So thanks for joining us today.
Okay. Benji, thank you, too, for all the support.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Tim.
All right, and Benji, thanks for joining us today. Somebody's got to try and keep me on track, and sometimes it's more a job than just Biff can do. So that was part of your job, was trying to keep me on track. So
very good, Howard.
I appreciate it today. Thanks a lot. Let's take a quick break. We've got some news for you. We've got Tony Caridi, Mountaineer Report, and Dale Lee from the WVEA is going to join us to wrap up the hour talking about the color-coded maps and his dissatisfaction with that. Coming up on the Watchdog Morning Show.
The WTRF Channel 7 News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
Now it's
You have Dale's number, right, Biffy? Okay, just making sure.
Container. A young boy was struck by a dirty needle just last month in McMecken. The child was reportedly okay after the incident. And in the Mountain State, the color-coded school map for COVID-19 has changed. One.
Food waste, but we can't do it alone, and we hope you'll join us in creating a world with zero hunger and zero waste. Visit thekrogerco.com to learn how you can help.
Love getting prices that are lower than low on backyard favorites like grill-ready hamburgers and fresh-picked strawberries? Then shop at Kroger. We give you more ways to save on the fresh you love with tools like the Kroger app, where you can find personalized coupons on top of weekly sales, plus rewards like fuel points, giving you prices that are lower than the everyday low. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Mountaineer coach Neil Brown has been creatively dealing with this season ever since spring practice was canceled back in March. He's at it again this week since the Mountaineers have a bye week after playing just one game.
This is a week that's not like a typical bye week. We've got to continue to make improvement. We're not going to spend as much time at the facility, but we're going to have more camp-style practices than bye week style practices. A lot of good work this week. We've got to continue to improve as we go to our Big 12 opener on September 26th.
Brown provided a comprehensive review of last Saturday's game during his weekly press conference yesterday. One of the topics was freshman defensive lineman Sean Martin of Bluefield, who did not see action in the game.
Sean missed the game due to contact tracing. He's fine, but he was he missed the game. He was a guy that we wanted to play but he was out. He really had his best week of practice last week until he was out. And he was a guy that was definitely going to play, but still really, really excited about him. I like his makeup, how he's worked since he's been here on campus. He's going to be a real bright spot for us.
The Mountaineer head coach also announced the game's award winners. Running back Letty Brown earned the offensive honor.
The most impressive stat to me is something that we've talked a lot about, and he's made a point of emphasis, is 0 negative yardage plays. He had 0 runs with negative yardage.
Defensive Player of the Week honors went to newcomer Tony Fields. Special teams top performer was Alonzo Adai. That is today's Mountaineer Report, brought to us by Kroger, the official grocer of WVU Athletics. I'm Tony Caridi on the Mountaineer Sports Network from Learfield, IMG College.
Does your dog need groomed or walked? Are you looking for a pet sitter or dog boarding options? If so, call Dirty Paws, Wheeling's newest pet care service, providing the Ohio Valley with everyone's. Check us out on Facebook at Dirty Paws WHG or call 304-639-7754.
Highland Sports Complex is the coolest destination for sports.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. I'll start with that. I'll ask him then. That's good.
For birthday parties and other events. So come challenge yourself on our play climb and enjoy your favorite virtual reality game in the arcade. No memberships required, so visit highlandsports.com to find your next entertainment experience and get ready to reach new heights.
I'm Andrew Saul, Commissioner of Social Security. Beware of telephone scammers pretending to be government employees. Real Social Security employees will never threaten you. Callers threatening you with arrest or other legal action and demanding money are not from us. If you receive a call like this, hang up, do not provide them with any form of payment or information. Report the call at oig.ssa.gov.
He rambles, he rants, and sometimes he sings. The Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe continues.
And I don't know, maybe I should color from time to time as well. I got my big box, 64 box of Crayola crayons out here this morning. Let me welcome to the show from the WVEA, Dale Lee. Now, Dale was a math teacher, not an art teacher, but do you have your Crayola crayons out there, Dale? We could work on, color coding our own map here.
Well, you never know what's going to come next.
I think we should have burnt sienna as a color since we're playing with this map. And unfortunately, playing, Dale, is actually the word that it seems to me the governor is doing. What do you think? What do you think about this whole color-coded map thing to begin with, and in particular the way the governor has been handling it the last week or two?
Well, I think the map should have been the minimums that you go by. And once we came up with the decision of what it was going to be, that should be the minimums. And then the county should have the option of going beyond that if that's what they so chose. We made that clear when we went up and had the press conference in Montague County that if they wanted to go virtual, they should have that option. However, saying that, to continue to change it, and particularly in the middle of the week, doesn't make sense. I said in a press release yesterday that I was angry because we're doing this. Tell me, on Friday when the governor said that everybody was going orange, everybody in orange was going to stay home and do remote. We said that's the right move. You got to put the safety of the kids and our educators first. Tell me what changed from Friday to Tuesday to say, oh, we're just kidding, now they can go in. So that's the part that angers me the most. And Fayette County, whose numbers are rising, has already announced that they're bringing kids in school on Thursday. And they're at, I think, 18.19. Now, Boone County, on the other hand, whose numbers are increasing, they're at 18.64. So now we're still going to stay this week remote.
Ben Salango yesterday suggested that maybe a statewide map is a good idea, but the reality is that because of the way it's being implemented, it might be better to simply let things be handled at the local level. And I'm beginning to think maybe he's right. The concept should be, in my mind, that this map is the public health-oriented statistics upon which everybody should base their decisions. But we keep changing it. I think it's 5 or 6 times at least that the governor has changed the map. Now, I get the concept that you always tweak things and that, not everything's perfect the first time out. But what has concerned me, Dale, is I don't get a sense this was really put together with forethought ahead of time. I guess forethought always comes ahead of time, doesn't it? But put together with forethought.
Yeah, I'm
a math teacher,
not an English teacher, so you'll have to do that one.
It just seems to me that it was sort of put together with sort of a half-baked idea, and then it just gets adapted, and what's even scarier, adapted to some extent by the pressure that he gets from different people. And we've seen that several times now. When groups begin to raise a loud complaint, he changes his plan.
Well, I coached forever. I was not a very good athlete, but I was an athlete. And an athlete and the coach always wants to play. They always want to be out there. I understand that. No one wants the kids to play any more than I do. But as a coach, my first priority was the safety of my players. And that should be our first priority in this. It should be the safety. I was doing an interview earlier, and I was comparing it to my last 2 years in coaching. I was the girls' soccer coach, and I was blessed to have been able to coach my youngest daughter. Her first game her senior year, she got a concussion. And this was right at the cusp of the concussion protocols. I wouldn't let her play for the next 3 games. I'm going to hold her out just like I would any other kid. Oh my gosh, at the dinner table and everywhere else, she drove me crazy. Dad, I'm okay, I want to play. Well, sure you do. Kids want to play. But your health and safety should come first. We're dealing with something here that we don't know what the long-term ramifications are going to be, and the health and safety should come first.
One of the concerns that I have is I hear parents, and I'm as sympathetic as anybody with parents who want to see their kids play. I really am. But one of the concerns I have are the parents who say things like, well, Mike, and you just used the phrase, Dale, my boy wants to play. He's looked forward to this for a long time, and now he's not being allowed to, and he ought to be allowed to play. Well, I mean, public health has to trump, no pun intended there, public health has to trump what you want to do. There are a lot of things I want to do, but I can't. I want to deal with that.
I want to drive 95 on the interstate too, and those little blue lights come behind me. They don't want me to. So It's the safety and health of everyone.
The other thing that is concerning to me is that we have not just now another color, but we have 2 maps. We have the DHHR map, and we have the Department of Education map, which seems to be somehow calculated differently from the DHHR map. Here in Ohio County, we certainly saw that last weekend, where Ohio County was orange in the DHHR category, but the DE map came out and put us in the yellow category, so football could go on. So we've got 2 maps. Now we have an additional color to contend with. And the governor, I guess, is going to calculate now. He wants to calculate these numbers through 2 different methods and let you pick the method you like that gives you the best results that you want. It's just too confusing all the way around. Where is whether we agree or disagree with the numbers that the governor chooses to use, there ought to be a standard that we can judge on.
I agree with that. And, I understand the difference in two maps because one is based on Thursday night. The State Department's map is based on the Thursday night showing. And then Ohio County turned orange on Saturday. So there's the discrepancy. But stick with something. I mean, go with something and have that consistency.
I've said over and over again on this show, probably when you've been with us before, the two things I think we have to be most concerned about right now, obviously education of our kids. I always sort of, that goes without saying, but safety, number one, public health and safety, number one. And number two is consistency. Parents need a greater sense of consistency, a greater sense of being able to plan and prepare what's going to happen. This whole situation is fluid enough to begin with that we don't need two maps and two sets of numbers and two different ways to calculate it and adding colors this week that we didn't have last week. How are parents going to follow all this stuff? And I'm not implying that parents aren't smart, but for God's sake, all I want from a parent, all I want to do is look at a map and go, okay, I guess we're in school on Monday, or we're not in school on Monday, or we're going to play football on Friday, or we're not going to play football on Friday.
Yeah, it is confusing. And again, that's why it didn't make sense that on Friday you can't put safety of our educators at risk by going in orange, but on Tuesday, you were orange, but you're really not orange, so yeah, you can't. You can go.
Are you hearing, I know that you generally don't reflect comments publicly unless you hear it from your members. Are you hearing these kind of concerns from your membership?
Our members are just like everybody in West Virginia. They're all over the map on this. There are people who are comfortable with the plans that they helped devise, and they want to go in and they want to be in front of their students, and we're supporting them on that. There are other people who are scared to death. So it's all over the board.
Are you hearing a slightly different subject than the maps, but I think the last time we talked, you were still hearing from a lot of teachers that felt they had not been given adequate PPE and other sanitizing materials and so on. Is that situation getting any better around the state from the people you talk to?
Well, we think it's getting some better. What our fear is the replenishing once you're in there.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. So they're getting the upfront supplies they need, but what happens when those are used up?
Yeah, that's the question.
And of course, it does make a difference. Some counties are doing a good job. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to me some counties are doing a good job, and others not so good. So there's a great disparity, I think, between one part of the state and or different parts of the state and different counties, really.
Sure, there are, and I use Tyler County as an example. They brought their educators in. They worked on a plan. They got everything that they needed for PPE. They're in front of their kids. Their numbers are low. They're comfortable. But that's not the case in every county, and that's why we are supporting our members in whatever decisions they make, and that's why this is not like pay or PEI when there's one message. There's just people all over the board on this.
Well, this could be interesting. What do you think? The problem is the numbers don't seem to be, as a general comment across the state, numbers don't seem to be getting better. They seem to be getting worse. I'm fearful that we're going to see more and more counties drop into gold or even into the orange fairly quickly. I could be wrong. I'm not an expert in this, but it seems to me we're getting worse, not better.
Some people that I've talked to that are really knowledgeable with this believe that the 1st of October we're going to see another spike. Mm-hmm. And that really concerns me.
And hopefully the school systems are preparing to adapt as quickly as they need to getting back. getting into, if it's going to be more remote learning, hopefully getting into that. I still think we should have opened up with all remote learning, but nobody's apparently listening to me. So,
well, we said that too, and nobody's listening to me. So,
yeah, all right, Dale, I appreciate your time. I just want to get your take on this. I've been spending most of the week, the last couple of weeks, really muttering and grumbling about this color-coded map, but the addition of the new color yesterday and the governor's perpetual changing just is really starting to get to me. But I do think, take a look at your 64 box of Crayola today and, give me some suggestions on what the next color should be. I like burnt sienna. I'm thinking that could be a good choice.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I can't, it's been a long time since I've had my box of 64 crayons out, but I'll have to look into that and see what we can go to next.
All right, Dale, I appreciate your time this morning, as I always do. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Howard.
All right, have a great day. Dale Lee, president of the WVEA, checking in with us this morning here on the Watchdog Morning Show, as he does from time to time. Well, speaking of time, I'm out of it. It's time for me to say sayonara, see you, bye-bye, farewell. I got to go. I got to get out of here. Kirchhoff's got the calm coming up at 10, but the Watchdogs are next. And as for me, good Lord willing, creeks don't rise, bat phone doesn't ring, I don't get impeached, I don't retire, ticker keeps on ticking, I don't overeat myself, and most importantly, Teddy says, it's okay, you can go back to work tomorrow, Granddad. I'll be here tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock, another go around to the big gig. Are you back with me, Brother Biff?
I'm back for it Thursday.
We'll just keep on doing it till we get it right.
That could be a long time.
Indeed.
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
All right, we made it. That was good. Appreciate it. If you have a chance, I finally caught up on all my podcasts last night, but so I don't get behind because I won't have a chance to do it today. If you can get those two segments done for me today, I'd appreciate it. The building trades thing and Dale put those up on podcast. And I'm going to try to stay on top of this more often, but I've got to come down to the office and I've got another meeting to go to, so I'm not going to have time to deal with it today. If you don't, that's okay. I'll catch it this evening, but if you have time to get those done, I'd appreciate it. All right, I'll see you in a little bit, and if I don't see you, if you're out having lunch or something, I'll talk to you in the morning. All right, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. All right, bye.
Dry cough, shortness of breath.
The symptoms mimic COVID-19's, making it difficult to get a proper diagnosis immediately. This morning, the federal government outlining a sweeping plan to make COVID-19 vaccines free to all Americans. The playbook outlined in a report to Congress by federal health agencies and the Pentagon outlines a vaccination campaign to begin gradually in January or possibly sooner, ramping up to reach any American who wants a shot. President Trump once again standing firm on his thoughts about coronavirus during an ABC News town hall in Pennsylvania